I want to go in, how do you change the due dates? How do you change, do they change the start dates too?
Yeah, they may have to for the exam.
Okay.
But we prefer that you just leave them all open all semester.
Yeah.
Whatever reason last night, I had an instructor that doesn't want to do that. They don't like it being open the whole semester. Gloria, that's how Gloria wants it, so I will deal with that.
Wants what open all semester?
Everything except the exams are open all semester like they have been for a while. So if I have a student that wants to work ahead, they can do everything but the test. This particular instructor said, no, I don't like that.
Maybe because once that has come and gone, they don't want students asking. They still see it there and they want.
I don't know.
students
They thought it was
asking.
confusing and they were going to go through all the trouble of changing all of those to the way we used to have them only open the week they're due and the week after, but really didn't do it that way.
And why aren't the tests open all semester?
No, the exams are not open.
But I'm asking why not?
Why not?
We don't want people just doing it everything
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Well,
It's-
but I have a student in this semester who should have taken a proficiency test. I don't know if she knew it was even possible. She completed all of the coursework in a month. And she told me, she said, I know this stuff like the back of my hand. So I opened up the exams for her.
They say you can schedule individual exams.
You can schedule. I'm not going to show that process right now because with our December release, we're going to have a new process for changing the dates. That's going to be much simpler.
Okay.
But yes, you can change for individual students or for all. It's all of yeah.
Well, I know that's probably what Vicky's going to ask. Right now, I have no time limit on them. Oh, okay. They're not set for 60
Right.
minutes or
So-
20 minutes or whatever.
This,
Double infinity?
this is
So
why.
if they want to take all week, I get,
Yeah.
with the exams, you can't start and stop them. You have to do it at one sit.
Right, but there's no time
But
limit.
there's no time limit. So what do you feel about that? Guys,
I like that.
I think it's all right.
I don't think there should be.
Pardon?
But that is what I was going to ask. I wanted-
Yeah, because now we don't have to change them and extend them for disability services.
Yeah.
I was wondering, are we going to allow them to take the quizzes in the classroom?
Yes, yes, that is perfectly fine.
And they use the book.
No, and that's another debate we had last night. You can use the book for everything except the exams. And I got the question, well, that's not fair because the distance learning students can use
They don't
it.
use the exact books, right, Mark?
I know, so, again,
We've got another question.
yeah.
Okay, so before you could take the Blackboard test and you could break them up into 2 sessions, like, and do half of it one day and half of it the second day, because MCCP and our class grades are sort of different as well. So you can't do that anymore.
Not with the exam simulations.
You did that in SAM? Because they've never been Blackboard.
Well,
tests.
I know with like the 1001 course that we did that. So I'm not sure how the other one. I haven't.
Yeah, those were Blackboard tests.
Yeah.
Those
Okay,
were
so
SAM
these ones you
tests.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good question.
No, I mean, the only way that you could do that is put it into simulation mode, but then that would, you can't turn, that would allow the save for later, but then the learning aids are there, which we don't want.
I didn't think about that, but you guys have short periods out there in time.
What has happened?
Now, so
Get that
someone
from
said
our
last night, okay, so the distance learning students have all week. Is that fair for the classroom? I let my classroom students pick. That as long as they got it in by Sunday night at midnight, a lot of them came because I offered to help them. I didn't give them the answers. I went around, like we said, with the access query. Okay, remember those little things we had to put around? Oh yeah, the brackets. That's the kind of stuff I did. A lot of them don't ask me questions, and a lot of them sat there and did them. And then I had maybe 4 that did them online. Because, yeah, the disability students need to do them online. I mean, one setting, but they have a week to do it too.
So I could just let them do it outside of class?
Yes.
Or you can work out some good.
Yes, if that's okay with how you guys govern your students.
Yeah, I mean, there is a way for us to allow them to save it for later, but then again, the learning aids show up. We can't, it's not that granular that we can turn off the learning aids and let them save for later. It's an all or nothing.
Yeah.
Are they able to print out anything on the learning aids? Like they have instructions, they have videos and.
Well, one of the learning aids is the book. So when they go into learning aid, it goes to that chapter in the book, to that specific spot in the book for that objective.
Okay, but I was using it and it had, I could choose either instructions, a video, or practice.
Right.
So if I printed.
If you did
if
read.
I clicked on the instructions, it wasn't the book, it was just a list of instructions. Are they able to print
No,
that?
I suppose they could do a screenshot and print them if they needed to, but it's not.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
No worries.
Well, no, I can show you here. Let me not go into that one. By the way, I just forgot to show that. When a student gets to the last attempt on a simulation or on a grader project, they get a message saying this is your last attempt,
Oh,
just so
that's
you
good.
know.
Yeah.
So if I click on the learning aid read
Yeah,
instruction,
instructions.
it won't work here because the flash isn't working.
But it didn't bring up the book. When,
Yeah, this is a simulation, not a
yeah,
grader
right, I was
project.
on a simulation.
Well, again, this is just Flash being bad. What it would do is go to the book, into the chapter of chapter 13, to this specific objective, 1301, showing that.
Okay.
We'll have to look at that, but no,
Okay.
that's what the read learning aid does.
Okay.
Again, it's based in Flash right now, unfortunately. So now, how do you go about changing the dates on the calendar? One thing I want to show you is that you'll notice that not only do I have the gradable items on my calendar, but I have everything else that's in that folder. And that's done deliberately, and I suggested that to Liz because I had a student when I first started using MyITLab that was not doing well. And I said, when I first started using MyITLab on the calendar, I was just putting on my grader projects and my simulations, and none of the videos or any of the student resources. And I said, aren't you seeing the resources? Why aren't you looking at the video? What videos? What resource? What are you talking about? How are you finding things? I'm going through the calendar. The student never ever went to course materials and drilled through the folder. And so it was that time that kind of a light bulb went off and go, well, I'm just going to add everything to the calendar. I mean, it puts due dates on all of the chapters and all the folders, and that seems a little weird, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect them from seeing them or not, and it doesn't count as a grade. So when you start thinking about if you want to change the dates, this is going to be the easiest way for you to change the due dates because it will take you literally about 20 seconds to do it. So if I go back into the instructor tools, so I'm in instructor tools and then instructor assignment calendar. So assignment calendar is again the student view, and the instructor assignment calendar is the one again under instructor tools. And you'll see here's my folders and here's my due dates right here. And what I'm going to do is take this entire folder, and let's say I don't want my stuff due on Friday, I want it due on Monday, and I drag it on there. It's going to say, hey, these have already been assigned. Do you want to reassign them?
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. What that will do is that will reassign everything at the parent folder, everything within the subfolders within that, and that's it. That's how you do due dates. Now, when it comes to start dates, the first thing you like there's a in this one there is a scheduled. This is scheduled, and you know it's scheduled by that icon. So I'm going to take this folder, drag everything to there. So I'm going to reset the due date for that. So it's important to do the due date first. Then I open up that folder, and I go to the options, and I go to set scheduling options. And then under restrict availability, this is where I can change the start date. the end date in the grade book, and because there's an end date, the student will no longer have access to that. They can view their submissions, but they can no longer do this activity.
So you have to set the end date first.
You set the end date first by changing the due date for everything else in that folder,
And that's only the 6 exams, Windows, Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint.
and then I can change.
That have a start date.
I can change this, and then I just click on the icon, the calendar, and that changes the start date. And so that's what changes. So now my students will have a week to do that activity.
Okay. Suppose it's just one student that was in the hospital or,
Right.
something like that.
I mean, if you want me to go through that process, I mean, I can't until I can go into another course and show you the students' view.
But there is a way to do it.
There is a way.
Right under the restrict availability, wasn't it show to all students or show?
No.
That's where I thought you did it.
No, and again, we are in the process. We're going to have a December release, and honestly, it was our competitors, Cengage, that pushed us to do this, where you can set a time or a date for all assignments or individual assignments for a group of students or for all students. Right now, you'd have to do it for each individual student, and I want you to wait until our December 22nd release.
So we'll have instructions on how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even sure myself right now. I got a couple demos.
As long as we have some written instructions,
Yes.
that's a good thing.
There will be.
Okay.
There will be. Yes.
Now, what for, the disability students get twice as long time to, complete a quiz. So-
There's no time.
So on the quizzes, they won't be,
There's no time limits.
But
oh,
what-
no
what-
time.
There's a range.
There's a
per
range.
week.
Okay.
When you sit
Okay,
down,
all
it
right.
doesn't shut off after a half an hour or 2 hours, so.
Okay.
Unless their Wi-Fi
Yeah.
connection
How many
drops,
tries
and
do they
then
have?
you need to give them the chance to
With
take
the
it again. That's what we don't know how to
disability
do.
Yeah, I can show you how to reset a submission.
They've never
Yeah.
gotten double
Good
tries.
question.
They get extra
Yeah, 'cause
time.
that happens,
But if
you know.
Yeah, it
there's
does.
no time limit, if they can sit there for 3 hours and stare at it,
Okay.
then that's
Want
okay.
pizza, drink a beer, why not?
So Ann asked a very good question. What happens if their Wi-Fi connection quit on them? You had a bad storm, bad snowstorm or something,
How do you
a
reschedule?
hurricane that hit Florida, and my college was closed for 11 days. What do we do? Crazy stuff like that. But what you really have to do in that case is to delete one of their submissions. So I can show you how to do that. And after I show you how to do that, I'm going to show you a place, Ben loves me to show you this, of a place where you can see all these resources. So even though we're taping this, you're going to have to be scrubbing through a lot to go back on this. And I get it. You're going to go in and play for the next few weeks, but until you really get your students on there, it's going to be some things that, honestly, I know that we're going to forget. But I'm going to show you a place after I show this where you can watch how-to videos. And again, if you love my voice, I did a lot of those videos, and I'll put my disclaimer to them. Like I said, there's not just with students in how they navigate. There's multiple places that you as an instructor can view submissions. So I'm already in the instructor assignment calendar, so I don't have to leave here. I can view submissions through here. I can view submissions through what's called the add from a library. I can view submissions from managed course materials. I can view submissions from my instructor custom view, and so there's multiple places in here. So if I go into here, and again, this option menu is the big deal, and I view submissions. If there's multiple submissions, I would see the multiple submissions. I can click on an individual submission, and when you're in the submissions, this is where you revise the grades, and right here is where I can delete this submission or all submissions for the student. So if you need to kind of reset a student. Now, if a student has a power outage, most likely what's going to happen here is you're not going to see any review, but what you'll see there is a button that says submit for student. So that's another case where some students forget to click submit. This is a way for you to go into their submission and submit it for them. But in this case, I would just go ahead and delete this submission, and that resets it for them.
Now, here's a question that I know a student is going to ask. I've been asked this before. But I was 80% done with the test, and I lost power. Do I have to start over again? And the answer is yes.
And the answer is
Okay.
yes.
I just want to tell them. All right.
The answer is yes. With simulations, trainings, I'm looking at Ben. I don't know either, Ben.
I'm sure.
Unless they click save for later, I don't think it's gonna,
Okay.
I don't think it will.
All right, I'll just tell them that up front then.
I don't think it will.
Maybe you already said this, but,
Yeah, no worries.
a lot of students, you know, they'll wait till 11 o'clock Sunday night. If they go into the quiz, but it passes midnight, will it bump them out, or will they?
It won't bump them out, but when they submit, it'll have the grace period on it.
Okay.
Well, on the exams, there is no
There is no
grace
grace
period.
period. Yeah.
On the exams, there's no
There
grace
is
period?
no grace period.
Okay.
Yeah.
But will it bump them out, or will it let them?
It'll let them submit it.
But they're gonna get a zero.
After the time, so say it takes them till 1 o'clock in the morning. to get
I
done.
believe it, I think it will. I'm not 100% sure.
That's something you could try.
I'll
When you
try
play,
it
and I'll
tonight.
try it in my little play
I realize it's
area.
1:30.
Because I don't know, Vicki, I didn't have any students that said that.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how many students, I was like, don't wait till the last
Well,
minute.
yeah, we tell them all the time, don't wait till the last minute. don't wait till the
I
last minute.
actually, I'm thinking that it won't.
Yeah, Sam wouldn't, but I.
I'm thinking that it won't,
Yeah.
because once that date has passed, when it's now trying to interact back with the server that says, no, that date's
It's not
passed.
available, yeah.
It's not available anymore. So that's my guess, is I
Yeah.
think it probably won't.
Won't let them continue.
Correct.
Okay.
That's with an end date.
Oh, okay.
Okay, with the due dates, it will,
Well, okay.
because the due date, it's open all the time. So that's the assignment calendar. That's, I think,
Can you